This backpack allows me to stay on my side because I discovered that even with the CPAP machine on my back, I still choke. And if I have a choking episode, I'm toast. I'm toast for a week. I can't work. It's brutal headaches. So try this, and to just guarantee that I wouldn't roll over, this is what I do. I lie down, I grab the strap, step 2, strap in, and I tighten it. Now there's no rolling over.
Everybody sleeps. It's something that is imperative. We all have to sleep, and if we don't sleep, our bodies will start sleeping without our consent.
I guess it really all started from when I was a kid. Never been able to breathe properly. Grew up always breathing through my mouth. And then as I started to hit my late 20s, early 30s is when I started to feel really tired all the time. I met with a lot of ENTs over the years, gastroenterologists, every type of doctor to try and figure out and say, I can't breathe, I feel this, I feel that, and it was a lot of, well, here's Singular, go home and take that. Here's an inhaler, go home and take that.
When we look at sleep, we know that kids who aren't sleeping all night, they're tired. So what they are doing during the day is they are moving and they are doing their best to stay awake, and it's really difficult for them to focus on a task at hand. These kids are often not getting into REM sleep. It's also affecting how they grow and develop. And our focus, unfortunately, is their ADHD behavior that's disrupting the classroom or really difficult at home for mom and dad. And so if we could just look at their nighttime sleep, we would often discover, hey, let's get this kid a sleep study. Let's see what's going on with this airway.
I was so tired. I was it was just really weird. I don't know why I was doing it. I was just snoring a lot.
She often was grouchy, she would be moody, just overall just not a happy girl. And I knew she was tired a lot. I wanted answers for my concerns, and I would notice when she would sleep, she woke up a lot throughout the night.
And it was hard to sleep because when I was in first grade, I wouldn't even wake up. Mom would have to shake me, and then my brother would have to come in and yell at me. Not in a mean way, he was trying to be funny. He was like, wake up, Lila.
And then as we go to look at her airway and her pathway to breathe, is her adenoids, the adenoidal tissue in the back of the throat up above where the tonsils are so inflamed there's just a minute area for air to go through. Typically this is black, and that's the maxillary sinuses, those are the ethmoid sinuses, and when they're that full of gunk and bacteria and a patient's not complaining of nasal symptoms, it illustrates to us that it's more chronic in nature.
Probably weeks, literally weeks afterward, I started waking up later. Started waking up more tired, more groggy.
Headgear has been around the profession for, I'm guessing, give or take 100 years. And it's been used to treat the, quote, protruded maxilla, which we now know is not protruding.
This is used to pull the maxilla back. Well, if you're pulling the maxilla back, you're pulling the spine forward. The C2 vertebrae is rammed into the throat while these kids wear it. Narrows the airway during sleep.
So the more they wear the headgear, the worse the entire situation gets.
You can have a bad bite. It doesn't matter, you survive. You cannot have a bad upper airway, you die. Once again, there are a lot of errors done to repair the bite, which are going to kill that child.
Sleep-related disorders in young children is one of the most important public health issues that we have today. When you think about 1 to 2% or 1 to 3% of the school-age population has significant obstructive sleep apnea. How many children? That's millions of children.
So Delilah is a 5th grader. She is a busy girl. She's also in baton twirling. That is a new activity that she found and she just took to right away. And so she's been performing over the summer. She's been in about 3 or 4 events now.
I feel like I breathe better now because like my mouth is closed.
It's very concerning to me to know that I could have caused further harm, even, and just because of not knowing. And because I continue to explore and ask the questions that need to be asked and share the information that we were able to get her help.
I couldn't find a surgeon who was willing to do what I wanted. I wanted my joints decompressed, I wanted my maxilla rotated up, and my lower jaw not so much. The deformation is here, so the correction needs to be here. I don't really need to cut my lower jaw and modify the lower jaw. I knew that I had problems back here. I knew my whole skull was shrunk. And I know there's lots of sutures there, so if these expand this way, why wouldn't these expand that way? Now, this can't expand by pulling on rubber bands on one side, or pulling on rubber bands like this, or on shoelaces, or orthodontic elastics. They're not gonna move bone. You need to turn a screw. You need to separate bone gently. You separate bone gently, but there's a lot of force. Even though it's like a fraction of a millimeter, there's a lot of force. So how do you apply that force to this suture in here? You've got to have an anchor in the back of your skull. You've got to put screws in the back of your skull. You've got to put screws inside your maxilla and have a wraparound device with a jack screw over here.
What is your idea about all this? Can you explain me more details? I know we talked about this.
Yeah,
Many
this is
times.
my device, right? So basically this bolts into the back of my head.
All right.
I'll show you the screws.
So that's made from plastic. It's actually milled.
It's 3D printed.
3D printed.
Yeah, yeah. This is,
So it is just prototype.
this is
from
a
my
prototype,
understanding.
right? So this screw connects these two together.
Okay, so basically you try to secure this piece on the skull of potential patient.
Yeah,
So
so
what
this
is
is secured.
what is purpose of this?
Yeah.
Basically, what actually you were trying to achieve?
I'm trying to split the suture at my sphenoid.
Okay.
Okay, so this will be in my mouth, either in the zygomatic crest implanted, where there's cortical bone, or in the maxillary tuberosity.
It definitely, it would require some research here. If that appliance could be applied, it definitely has to go through some process of approval. I don't know if it's right or wrong. It has to be, again, it has to be looked through very carefully with different approaches and to be approved, if it could be approved to any use in any medical field. But definitely, we need those crazy people a little bit. We need people who wants to move stuff and change stuff.
That's another thing that, you know, I have just dealt with for so long. I'm really used to having headaches, so it's almost like you don't even notice it. You know, it's like the same thing with like the nausea and the breathing and whatever. You just get so used to feeling like shit. That becomes your new normal. Today we're doing one of probably the first of many operations to start to open up my airway. Turbinate reduction, spur removal, potential polyp removal, using a sleep-induced endoscopy.
Sleep is everything. If you're not sleeping well, like the rest of your life falls apart. Our main goal with this procedure was to get her breathing through her nose and to figure out what's going on. In the ideal world, she'll heal from her surgery. She'll say, oh my God, I love this because I can breathe through my nose now.
I can finally breathe for the first time in my goddamn life. I've never been able to do this. And I started crying when we walked out of the doctor's office because it was so overwhelming. And I just, I can't believe I suffered for so long. And I don't know why. It's just it's going to be such a life changer. I've never been able to do this as long as I can remember.
Doctor, please give me a dose of the American dream. Put down the pen and look in my eyes. We're in the waiting room and something ain't right. All this is on you. We're overprescribed. Doctor, your medicine and your methods can't cure my disease without killing me. You're killing me. You're killing me. You're killing me. You're killing me. Doctor, your medicine and your methods can't cure my disease without killing me. You're killing me. You're killing me. You're killing me. You're killing me.